Today I'm going to show you how to use charts. Very simple to do. We're going to start off with creating a new project. I'm just going to call this our chart demo. Create a new project. There we go. Click on the plus button and create a new chart. Now, creates our default app. I'm not going to need this and this, so I can do that. And I can get rid of this code. Simply select and delete. And I'm going to do this one, recall this script to be set values. And this is going to be a script that allows us to set the values of our chart. Now, charting is very simple. This is going, again, there's going to be basic values. And the basic values, let's reload our simulator here. The basic values is going to be for our chart because there's two different ways of making charts. So let's create a chart here. We're going to drag and drop our chart, and I can now resize this chart, make it nice and big like that in our view. And what the button is going to do is going to launch this script, which is already attached to, as you can see here, set values is attached to this button. And inside of here, I'm going to modify the values and set them in the chart. Now, if I reload here, you'll notice that there's nothing being displayed because the chart doesn't show anything until there's data set on it. And to do that, we need the chart basically inside of the script. And there's a library called chart here that has two operators in it. One is to clear the chart, which you can do at any time from old data that you have. Every time you want to actually create a new chart, you do that. And one is set chart. And set chart is very simple. It has the chart itself that you're going to connect, the name of one of the x-axis values that you're going to have in here, which we call the text for the name, which is a data set for the name, and then either a list or a number, depending on whether you're creating a chart for a list-based chart or a number-based chart, and I'll show you how that works in a second. So let's create a new operator for set chart. I'm going to use 3 of these for 3 different values that I'm going to show you. And I'm going to use the chart, which I just drag and drop into the script right here. Now, the first operator, the first input is the chart, so I'm going to connect that. And then every other output of the set chart is an output of the chart itself, which I can now daisy chain with these 3 operators, and now each one is going to get that chart in its place. So let's start with a very simple chart, and I'm going to select here. If you click on the properties of the chart, you can see there's a bunch of different values here, and the type of chart is what I'm going to select. So the first 3 are complex charts that require lists, and then the last 3 require single values. So I'm going to start off with a pie chart to start off with here. Select pie, there we go, and then you can see the chart changes structure. And now I'm going to create a new value for each one of these. So let's start off with some fruit. Let's say banana, like that. Banana, I can't spell. There we go. Apple, like that. And then double click here and then say orange, like that. And I'm going to have a number of values of, say, the sales of the apple or banana. So I have 3 here. Apple, we've sold 5 of them, and then oranges were sold 7. And now, if I do this and I reload the app and I click basic value, there you go. You have now a chart with orange at 7, banana at 3, and apple at 5. Very simple. And I can now change the chart as well. Select on it and select a different kind of chart, say a donut graph, like this. We go back to our simulator, reload because we've changed the structure. Click basic value, and away you go. Now I have orange, banana, and apple. Okay. And the third kind of chart, again here for the simple chart, is the polar chart, which gives you a polar graph. And again, I can do the same thing here, reload it. And then click, and I have the same value. So now I've got orange, apple, banana. Now, let's look at creating a complex chart. And And to do that, we can use the same chart again. I'm going to duplicate this graph, or this script, sorry, and I'm going to say set list values here, because we're going to use list values. I can use the same data and the same chart, but I'm going to use a different button to do this here. So I'm going to create a new button here like that, and we'll add this and call this list values like that, and then drag and drop this over here. And now I'm going to change this to lists. And what will happen is if I put a bracket and bracket around each of these numbers, it's going to be a list of one value. Oh, there we go. Got to put the other bracket here to make it correct. And then this one here, I'm going to make a bracket as well. And now I have list values coming for each one of these. And you'll notice something happens. Now, if I click basic value, you'll see this chart for this. But if I now click on the chart and I select bar graph, okay, you're going to have values down here, but I'm going to have a number coming up here. And the reason why we have list values is because you can have more than one value for each one of these X value items, or what we call names. So now if I reload here, and here's something that you'll need to know. If I click basic value, there'll be an exception that'll occur, and it says the chart movie value must be a list for this kind of chart, for bar, line, and radar. So let's click the line, and now we have our bananas at 3, apples at 5, oranges at 7. There you go. And if I want to create a different kind of graph, like a line graph, like this, and reload here, and click list values, there you go. I have a line graph. You see the lines moving from 3, 5, and 7. The graph will automatically align itself to the values that you have in your graph. And then finally, if I have a radar graph, which again is one of these complex graphs that require lists, reload here and click lists, I now have, you can see a radar graph. Now, what's interesting about the list as well is that you can have more than one value. So if I put comma 1, 2, comma 1 here for this graph, and then 5, comma, say 30, 4, comma 6, like that. And you could have any numbers in here at all, 3, and then say 23, like that. And now, if I go back here and reload this, these are going to have new values, and there you go. This is going to be a completely different type of graph, because now I have 2 or 3 different values that are going on. Now you can't see it very well here, so let's go to our bar graph and show you how that works. We'll restart with the bar graph, click the list values, and now you can see that each one of these, like banana has 3, 2, 1, the apples have 5, 34, and 6, and you can make some pretty complex graphs with your data. Now remember that any one of these data points that are coming in here in these lists or values can be generated by an algorithm. So these can be coming in from data that you've got on a sensor, or data that you have in your database, or data that you're generating from an algorithm that you're calculating. But the principle is the same. You have a chart, you have a set data, you have a named value. For example, this could be, say, January, February, and then March, like that. So you can make it time-based, and we reload here, and now we have January, February, March. Or you could have, say, test 1, we did certain things, test 2, we did something else, and then test 3, we did something else. And again, if we reload here, and you can see how our tests are working. So now you can actually create graphs inside of your app, select different kinds. Let's try a line graph, and you'll see how that works with multiple lines. Here for 3 tests, and away you go. And so you can see how each test is doing something different.